Welcome to the Freewrite, a show about the art of songwriting, storytelling, and the creative process. My name is Travis Barrett, and every week I sit down with a writer, musician, or other creative to talk about process, inspiration, and creating something from nothing. My guest today is Camille Cano, a Seattle-based songwriter whose melancholic, confessional indie pop songs began as bedroom recordings during the COVID lockdown. Since then, her music has amassed millions of streams on Spotify and appeared on editorial playlists and earned a sync placement with Netflix. She is returning to Seattle's Capitol Hill Block Party for the second time this year and is currently working on her debut EP. I'm really excited for you to hear this conversation with Camille. I'm so glad that she was able to join me today and we could meet and talk about songwriting, inspiration, creativity, her writing process, melancholy, music, a lot of good stuff. So please stick around and enjoy this conversation with Camille Cano. Camille, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on the Freewrite. I'm excited to talk to you today.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
Yeah. I want to start by, in the 2 minutes we were talking before starting recording, we mentioned genre. I want to bring up genre for you. Like, I was listening to your stuff and I was picking up on the nostalgic vibes, emotions before I read your Spotify bio, which is very short, but it mentions like nostalgic indie pop and whatnot. And so I wanted to just talk to you about that. Like, what is it like having so much of your music kind of occupy that nostalgic, emotional space?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's a good question because I feel like my music is, I think for a lot of artists, like how you process emotions, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm just naturally a very nostalgic person. Like, I spend a ton of time in my head. I spend a ton of time like remembering things or, looking at things from different angles. And I feel like when I write, that's the stuff that naturally comes up for me, is just kind of like reflective. And I like to use the word confessional because it's almost like writing a diary entry for me.
Yeah. Do you journal outside of songwriting?
I have been lately. Yeah, I have been lately. I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with Artist's Way. Mm-hmm. Have you done it?
I've made it through. How many weeks is it in total? Is it like 12?
12.
I think I got to like 8 and then I, for whatever reason, stopped.
That's pretty significant though.
Yeah.
That's more than halfway there. It kind of, for me, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th week was like the weeks it was the hardest to push through and do it. But I just finished it for the first time.
Cool.
And a big part of the Artist Way is writing 3 pages in the morning of like stream of conscious journaling. And so that has honestly really influenced my writing lately because you kind of get out of your head a little bit and you just write whatever comes to mind. And like these barriers that we have when we're writing already is like, oh, that doesn't sound good, or like that doesn't, make sense there. That doesn't rhyme. It's like by doing these morning pages and just like getting used to that stream of consciousness writing and like whatever comes to mind, just like put on the page.
Yeah.
It's so helpful and like you don't even realize it carries over to the art that you're doing and you kind of get out of your own way a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want you to speak to that more because my mom is a writer. The name of this podcast, The Freewrite, kind of comes from her. Free writing was a practice very similar to morning pages, but a little different where like she would say like set a timer for 8 minutes and the only rule is don't let the pen stop moving. But often when she does it, it's more like she teaches writing to a lot of students who write fiction, and so they'll do free writing for like their fiction. They'll just start a story and the only rule is they can't stop. And so I've talked to her about morning pages and she kind of doesn't get it. She's like,
really?
I have other writing to do. Like if I'm going to free write, I want it to maybe work towards something, or I want it to like she's published short stories that were birthed in a free write. And so the idea of having it just be more journaling is there's a little bit of a disconnect between that and like it actually aiding the art. So I'm wondering if you could speak more to that. Like, what does it feel like to have done morning pages and then sit down to write and you feel just like a little bit less barrier to entry? Like, what is that for you?
Yeah. First of all, that's so cool that she inspired the title of this podcast. And like writing in any form is just a way for us to like express what thoughts are going on. So I feel like I know I have a ton of useless thoughts and like worries and stuff that are always just kind of like circling around in my mind. And morning
Yeah.
pages has been a way to just like get them down somewhere so it
Mm.
doesn't clog up like the creative space that I want to be taking up with the rest of my brain, where it's like, okay, I already thought this. Like, I don't have to keep thinking it. I can get it down, I can get it out of the way. And then it kind of frees up space to just be like, oh, yeah, like this is inspiring me, or, this thing that I took note of, I want to write about that and not have these other like daily things influencing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you feel a difference? Have there been days in the past couple months that you haven't maybe done morning pages and you've tried to write a song that day? Are you able to notice it in real time, or is it more of like a
Completely. And
really?
I wonder if you can like speak to this as well as someone who's done
Hmm.
like a good chunk of the artist way, is like
Hmm.
when you do it versus when you don't do it, it's like it has an impact, like not only on like the art itself that I'm like trying to make or whatever, but it's just like my whole day feels slightly off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Was it like that for you? Like, did you try and be consistent with the pages?
It was something for me that, like, when I wouldn't do morning pages and meditate, I would try to like meditate for 10-15 minutes in the morning. There was a time a couple of years ago where, like, if I wouldn't do it, I would just feel so down on, like, and
Yeah.
like, it wasn't just the feeling of not having done it. It was then like guilt about having not done it. And then I would just like
Completely.
spiral
Yeah.
downward about it. So
Yeah.
in having done a lot of work to not spiral like that, I've also not felt the need as much. So, like, it's a habit I want to get back into, but I don't have that like shame cycle driving me to anymore. So I haven't been doing it as much. So, it's good that I'm not feeling that down on myself about
Totally.
not doing it, but I want to get back into it. And,
Yeah.
instead of just being on my phone for my first 30 minutes of the day, I want to like sit down and journal again.
Yeah, yeah. The guilt you're talking about is so real because it's
Mhm.
like, oh no, this is how I get better, but I'm standing in my own way. It's crazy. Like, if
Yeah.
I'm, like you said, like going on my phone for the first 30 minutes of the day instead of like, you know, like it's all information. Like, we're taking in so much information through the course of our day.
Mhm.
And that's all stuff that is gonna clog up your creative brain. Sometimes influentially so. Like, sometimes you see something online that's like a good, catalyst for writing, I guess. But most of the time, I feel like I write the best when I have little distractions or
Yeah.
little things that I'm worrying about or not going on social media.
Yeah.
One thing that I've really, really been trying to do lately is have like a notes app where I just collect like lyrics and phrases. I don't know if you do this as well, but to not listen to music all the time if I'm out and about, but just kind of pay attention to what's around me.
Yeah.
Anything that catches your eye or like anything you think that's interesting or a word or something cool that you hear, just like write it down and then come back to it later, have like something to pull from.
Yeah.
And that's been, a really cool way to kind of like build a song
Yeah.
from. Yeah.
What does that maybe look like? Do you have an example or like a specific time in which you've used that? Like, does it look like when you're writing and you're stuck, you have somewhere to look for inspiration? Or does it look like, oh, I wrote this down, I need to build
Totally.
around it?
Yeah. So for me personally, and I feel like every songwriter is so different in how they approach writing a song, but I try to write like when I'm out and about because I
Mm,
find that like if I'm home and I'm like, okay, I gotta like lock in and write a song right now, like
lock in,
it
dude.
will log in, bro, just lock it. Like, I can't come up with
Yeah.
anything on the spot like that, which is why also like sometimes co-writing or like collabing creatively can be difficult for me because
Hmm.
a lot of my inspiration just kind of comes to me if I'm out experiencing life.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're like out at a party or something, you're not gonna be like, guys, let me just go write a song real quick. You just like gotta jot some ideas down,
Yeah.
put it in your little notes app, come back to it maybe when you're processing, memories or things that happen.
Sure.
And then, yeah, like remember, like sensory details is something that I'm big on that I'm trying to do more of and just like pull
Mm,
from like, oh, like taste, touch, smell, like what were those things? Like, what does it feel like in the moment? And then definitely it helps like when you're stuck and you are just being like, okay, I'm trying to finish the song, but I don't know where to go. And then looking to this database that you have created of like, oh, that kind of sounds cool. That fits the vibe of the song. I'm going to try and fit that in
yeah.
somewhere.
When you're performing, what is it like with these emotional, nostalgic tunes? Like, what's the dynamic like maybe with the crowd, or like in reflecting on your catalog, I was like, this can't be like easy and light to go play.
No, dude. It feels like I am reading a bunch of strangers, like my diary entry that I wrote at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, hey guys, this is how I feel. And it's really vulnerable. But I think that like the art I relate to the most is incredibly vulnerable and wouldn't exist without songwriters being like, hey, yeah, maybe this is scary to say or like admit or, write down for people to listen to. But the fact that you like even did that is, I'm so glad. I'm so grateful to them for taking that risk.
Yeah.
It's a huge risk and people might not resonate with it. That's fine. But
Sure.
then some people will. And it's funny you say that because I feel like I don't perform very often. But this year I do have like more shows coming up than normal. And so, yeah, kind of like hyping myself up to be like, hey, like not everyone has to get it. Not everyone has to like understand or deeply relate, but like one or two people might. And
Yeah.
they might be super grateful for that. So, yeah, I mean, sharing your art is just like a naturally vulnerable thing. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy that we get to do that as artists. And it's like when it pays off, it's the most rewarding thing in the world though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're not making it any easier on yourself by even if the songs themselves weren't vulnerable, there would still be a vulnerability to performing them live. And so now you're adding on that extra
Totally.
layer of like, also this is
Yeah.
about all this nostalgia and this grief
Yeah.
and sadness and
Completely. I mean, do you write about like experiences? That might be a dumb question, but like, do you write about things that have happened to you specifically?
yeah.
Because some people don't. So like when you perform, does it feel like the similar vulnerability for you? I'm just putting that
Yeah.
out there.
I honestly haven't had like a show in a long time where I've done originals. I've had a lot of like cover gigs recently.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But yeah, I when talking about it, I definitely try to veil everything behind like by talking about how some bits are autobiographical, some bits are not. It's pulled from experience, it's pulled from maybe other, like I try to just kind of create a cloud of like, this is all real to me, but it may or may not be true, but it like matters to me. And so when it comes to any specifics, I feel like I can kind of hide behind that.
Yeah.
Know
It's like
if
a
you relate.
composite sketch of
Yeah.
sometimes it's not like a specific thing. Yeah, no, completely relate. Yeah.
And I think growing up with my mom writing fiction, like I think that it's just been like a normal conversation to be around that, like just because something is fiction doesn't mean it's not true. And like the amount of authors that will kind of talk about that and be like, I'm able to tell more truth with, like, if I would have made this a memoir and have all of it be like true, it would be less believable than me making it a novel and fictionalizing a couple things.
It gives you license to be like almost more honest.
Yeah.
And use someone else's experience, but then convey the emotion that maybe you still feel in the art itself, which is so cool. I mean, honestly, like it reminds me of Taylor Swift's album Folklore. Have you listened? Are you familiar?
I haven't gone through it in a while, but when it came out, those first couple of years, I was listening a bunch.
Yeah, I love that album so much because I feel like it is exactly that. It's like
and
fiction.
Lots of storytelling. And
lots of storytelling in it, which is like so important. And I love a song that can like transport you through like this happens, this happens, this happens, like literally just a narrative. And I think that she's so good at that. Yeah, no, I completely get that.
When you're writing or with some of your songs, are you ever playing with perspective, the person whose voice is speaking? Are you ever changing that mid-song but like not really cluing into that, or is it usually one kind of narrative all the way through?
Yeah, no, it's definitely something I want to do more of, and usually it is just kind of like my perspective. Whether the situation is like completely accurate or more of like a composite sketch.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, like I'm super excited to be chatting to you because I feel like I want to learn more about songwriting and perspectives and different things that I can use in songs.
Yeah.
Because, like,
Same.
this podcast is so cool in that way because everyone has like a different way of approaching
Mm-hmm.
it. That is one
Yeah.
thing that I would love to do more of, honestly, is write from different perspectives. I
Yeah.
think I've toyed with it a little bit, but none of like my songs that are out, like they're all kind of very personal and from
Sure.
like my perspective, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. Talk to me about how your sound has changed over the years. Like even because you started releasing music in 2020,
In
21?
2020,
Yeah.
yeah.
Heck
It
yeah.
was like
Pandemic, let's put out some
COVID,
music. Yeah.
pandemic, very bedroom pop, very Claro,
Mm-hmm.
very DIY. And like I think that I'm still very DIY and very scrappy and kind of like do use the resources that I have. I've never been to a professional studio. Like I just record all my stuff at home. Like
Heck
I
yeah.
send it around to people and we end up with a final product. So
Sure.
but it has evolved quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because the first song that I really ever uploaded to streaming is the song that got the most traction for me, and kind of a song that I don't really like. It's not the sound that I make now.
Yeah.
So it's always
I wanted to
funny.
ask about that because I noticed that. I was like, oh, the first one is the most played right now. Like that must be complicated.
It was really, I think, well, I was like 21 when I made it, and I feel like everything at 21 feels like huge, like life
Yeah.
altering, like so much bigger than it actually is. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my God, like how am I gonna like follow this up? Like all this, I was like, it's not
Yeah.
a big deal. Like you're allowed to change and evolve as an artist. And like people who maybe love one song by you, like they won't resonate with newer stuff, and vice versa.
Sure.
Like people who are just finding me through my newer stuff, like maybe don't like resonate with the older stuff. So I've come around on
Yeah.
it. I think it's really fun to have different sounds throughout the catalog and the kind of being like, you're allowed that. You
Yeah.
can do whatever you want. There's literally no rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's great. But at the same time, I think it's valid for it to have been like kind of daunting in the moment where like this, my first one did XYZ. Now I need to follow that up. That's something most of us don't have the liberty or don't have to worry about. So many artists are able to put out a song and then it gets 100 plays and then they're like, okay, next one, here we go. You
Yeah.
you didn't have that liberty. You had to.
It was very weird because I had a lot of imposter. I still do have a lot of imposter syndrome, as I find is like very common with a lot of artists, but
Mhm.
especially that because it wasn't even really something that I spent a lot of time on or like, spent hours producing in the studio. It was like a beat that I had
Yeah.
paid for. And then I added like some production on top and I was like, okay, here's the song I wrote in an hour. This is kind of cutesy. Let me put it out on everywhere. And then
Yeah.
it got some traction and I was just like, that's not even like it didn't even really feel like my song
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to now like unlearn this, but I had this belief of like if I don't create every part of the song or like make the full song start to finish, like it's not really as authentic as it could be.
Right.
Which no, I'm like, of course, like music goes through so many stages and collaboration is really, can get you so much further than doing things alone sometimes.
Sure.
But back then I was definitely like, oh wow, like why are people listening to that? Like, come on, like listen to my other stuff that I made.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it was an interesting time, but yeah, I'm super grateful for it. Like obviously like I'm very grateful that people like liked it and listened to it, and it's definitely
Yeah.
something that I'll always play at every show because it's
Cool.
it's special. So
Did the process of making that song Sneakers for the listener who hasn't listened to you
he
yet?
was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Did the process of making that at all inform later process? You said that it was fairly quick. And in terms of production, you just shared that like you kind of went against that. You're like, well, now I need to make everything myself and like can't use anything from somewhere else. But in terms of like you said you wrote it pretty quickly. Is that something that you have like tried to do? Just try to just be like, hey, screw it. Like I'm going to just go quick and see how this one goes. Like,
Yeah,
what is that
totally.
like?
There's I feel like two wolves in me, and one of them is like make emotional like impactful songs, and then one of them is just like, just have fun, like it's fine. And so
Yeah.
I feel like that really shows like throughout the songs that I try and put out. Some of them are just like just fun and just there and not given much thought to, because I don't know, overthinking and over editing is also not great.
Yeah.
So I think a good balance of both. It's definitely like the songwriting, I think, it might be like simpler, like more surface level songwriting, but I think it's still kind of like tangible. Like the chorus of that song is like, "Can I write my name on your sneakers?" Which is like kind of a weird thing to say. Like, I don't know. It's specific in a way that I feel like I've tried to maintain through other songs. And I think specificity is honestly like the most relatable thing that there is, and people can like latch on to some like details and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So in that way, I do feel like I've maintained aspects of that from a songwriting perspective.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any standout favorites or less favorites from your discography? Like, are there any that you're especially for maybe a listener to like check out first?
Yeah. I think the two that are like my favorite are Small Doses and Fear of Heights, because they're both songs that I don't know. I mean, Fear of Heights is one that I edited a lot. It went through like a lot of different iterations.
Yeah.
But as far as like imagery and conveying like my truth, I feel like that song really kind of it fit perfectly into like where I wanted it to be. And then I love An Extended Metaphor, and that song is a lot of like, you know, imagery and like metaphors, and I love that shit. So
Yeah.
that one for sure. And then Small Doses is also just a song that I'm really proud of. It was something that like I did produce by myself, and that ended up like getting on a TV show. And
Heck yeah.
as somebody with like insane imposter syndrome, that was like, okay, like maybe I can. So, but again, I think it's also just something that, you know, it was honest. It felt true. It wasn't, you know, it was like what I needed to write at the time. So
Yeah.
I guess those two are some standouts.
Nice.
Sometimes when I write a song, I feel like I write it and I put it out in the world, and then it's like out of sight, out of mind almost, or it like
Yeah.
doesn't feel like mine anymore.
Yeah.
And maybe you can relate to that as well as someone who releases music. Of like, it's you look at it completely differently from like when you're working on it to when it's actually just done and out
Yeah.
there. And it's like, oh, I'm almost like having an out of body experience listening to this, because like it's not mine. It's just like its
Yeah.
own thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that's something that a lot of artists have shared as well, that it's like, I think there's something really beautiful about that, about it not, it's why I'm not a fan of asking like what a song is about, or like what were you going through, or like what did you write this about? It doesn't, on a certain level, it doesn't matter. It's for the listener now. It's what they're going through. And like you said, we find ourselves in the specificity of it. So it's like, once you've put it out there, when someone's listening to it, they're going to project their own stuff onto and make meaning of whatever they think it means.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the point of it.
Yeah, totally. Totally. These are good questions. I feel like I'm learning. I'm learning a lot.
Hell yeah.
So, and you've done how many of these now?
This is going to be number 17.
Okay, so 17 episodes.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have learned a lot about songwriting since you started it?
I think that
gain more perspective?
Yeah, I think that it's even if I've heard an idea before, or even if I've like heard someone talk about it, or learned something before, it's always so helpful to have a fresh reminder, to have someone like share something that's impactful for them and be like, oh yeah, like, right. And just remember. And of course I can't think of any now, but there have been a couple like specific things people have said that I've like tried to take into my writing.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I mean, selfishly, this is a very selfish project for me to just try to learn as much about songwriting as I can as well.
There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Is there anything that you're especially trying for with your songwriting?
Trying for. I think just like honesty, and I guess I want to say like poetry in a way, of like something that sounds good, but it also gets to an honest truth
Yeah.
without being forced, and without feeling like you're trying to make someone feel a certain way. I don't know. I feel like cliches in songwriting, or all the typical things where you go to any songwriting class and they're just like, oh, being too general. I'm so sorry, my cat's meowing, by the way, if you can hear that.
I can't hear it. No.
Okay, good.
They're welcome on the pod, though. They can join.
Okay. But yeah, I think just trying to avoid like cliche and trying to not be too general while at the same time appealing to people's like emotions. It's kind of the sweet spot I go for, and then having it sound good. And melody, honestly, for me is if it's a catchy melody and the lyrics just fit like a nice little pocket in the catchy melody, that is like how I know that like a song is good or like a song is done, to be honest. Because if I find myself like singing it or it's stuck in my head or something like that, I usually that is a good sign.
It's a good indicator that it's
Yeah.
on the right track. Yeah.
Yeah, completely. I think like melody and lyrics obviously go hand in hand, but it can be hard to like kind of approach that from an angle of like, oh, I have to get this right and I have to get the lyrics right. Like you just gotta there's something to be said for just letting things come to you and just, going with the flow. I think that songwriting is such an interesting thing to study because it's so abstract,
Yeah.
It's so different for every person. And it's like you can't scientific method your way through a song. Like at the end of the day, it's still like an art project. So there's a lot of leeway. There's a lot of, flexibility in there.
Yeah, totally. I'm
gonna let my cat out really quick. So if you want to cut this, or maybe not.
Just want to take a quick break from the podcast to mention that I'm posting bonus content to Patreon every week. At the end of this episode, Camille and I stayed on for a few minutes and talked about some more music stuff. We talked about her inspirations. We talked about some favorite lyrics that she's written. It's good stuff. And if you're interested, please go check it out on my Patreon page. If you search Travis Barrett on Patreon, you'll find it. Back now to the show. To get a little bit more like granular with it, is there kind of a general approach? Like, are there any things that you're usually doing? Like you said you're often not writing at home. What does that look like? Do you have like a track or a melody in mind, or are you just kind of like starting with nothing and being out and about and seeing what catches?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so often it is like lyrics first for me, because I'm out and about and I'll just write something down. Like we were talking about earlier, like with the Notes app, like I'll just write down a phrase or something. And sometimes that's, becomes a verse, or it's just like the rhythm of it is really interesting, or...
And is that pre-melody? That's like completely just
yeah.
lyrical.
I mean, usually yes. I think it's easier for me to write a song if I like have the words in mind, and like you can always tweak them a little bit, but then setting it to melody, because sometimes doing both at the same time, like yes, it can work, but for me it's like, I don't know, like let me focus on one thing at a time first, and then make sure I know the concept of what I'm singing about, and then finding a melody that fits it. Yeah.
At what point are you picking up a guitar, like playing a piano, or like when you take it home and you maybe start working on the music and the melody of it? What is that? Is there a usual process for that?
No, there's not. I feel like it varies every single time. And I feel like my own songs are so different from each other in like production and lyrics as well, because I don't have like a set process.
Yeah.
A lot of times I will just sit down at the piano, and then if there's something I wrote down maybe earlier that day or like that week that I'm excited about, that I'm like, oh, this could be a full song, I will kind of try and sit down and set it to melody, at least come up with like a chorus or, something small. For me, it's like a long, like everything is such a long process, like from writing the song to producing the song to editing it, mixing it, like it takes forever, which is good and bad. But But the songs I'm most proud of, like, are usually I spend a lot of time kind of working them out, and figuring out what I want to really say.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I'm trying to say too much in a
Mm-hmm.
song. Like, I have pretty wordy like verses or choruses where I'm just like trying to spit a lot at you, and then maybe we didn't have to say all that. So like now I'm trying to just be like, okay, what
Yeah.
can I take out? You know,
Yeah.
sometimes like the maximalist technique doesn't always work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I find that with so many of my favorite songs, like they are like they'll keep one metaphor going for a while versus like others that are just feel like they're collecting metaphors of like this and this and this and this and this. So yeah, I
Yeah,
get
it's
that.
focused.
Mm-hmm.
It's focused. And like that's also the benefit to just kind of like collecting little metaphors or little phrases. And it's like, okay, how can I see this thing through instead of just adding a bunch to it? You know, what can I like take
Sure.
away or simplify?
What feels like it can sometimes be the hardest part of the process?
Of like the entire like songwriting process,
Yeah, yeah.
or
Let's
just
go. Let's
releasing a
go.
song,
Let's go.
everything.
Writing process specifically first.
Yeah, I think like many songwriters can relate to just the feeling of like having a song that you feel good about, and then just like there's one line or one thing that just like won't work, and try
Mm-hmm.
to like figure it out and just like work it out. That can be quite hard. For me, usually it's just like taking a few days away from it and coming back to it, and like
Yeah,
sometimes it just pops into your head. And it's like, oh yeah, that
yeah,
works. But yeah, taking time away, I think, is really beneficial
yeah,
as an artist. Like, you know, experiencing things and then coming back to write about them rather than like
yeah.
trying to force it.
Do
If you're
you
trying
have
to
a
force it, that's hard.
Do you have a process for when a song is nearing the end and like maybe done, or maybe there's something you need to work on? Like, will you share it with specific people, or are you just kind of keeping it to yourself until you're putting it out to the world?
I'm such a perfectionist in that way. I feel like I literally hoard songs and then I'm just like, no one can hear this until it's
Yeah.
fully done, until I
You
get the
got some crazy
master
hard
back.
drives. You got some bangers on
The
hard
hard drives
drives.
are, yeah, the hard drives are stacked.
Yeah. You said
But
you're
yeah.
working on a like first full EP. Is that what I saw? How's
Yeah,
that going?
yeah.
What are like do you
It's
have the
going good. It's
Yeah.
again, it's a little scrappy, it's a little DIY, but I'm really having fun. All the songs are songs I wrote from between 2 years ago and now.
Cool.
So it's like definitely like a vast kind of terrain that I'm like treading with the songs.
Yeah.
But I don't know, for some reason, like the 6 songs that are on there just felt like really good. And I have a hard time deciding on finalizing things. So I've never
Sure.
released a project before now. I just kind of was always like, oh, well, I put this song out and now I kind of don't really like that song anymore. And so I'm going
Yeah.
to like keep making just singles.
Yeah.
But no, I'm really excited for the ones that are on here. And then the first one's coming out in September. So yeah, it'll be good. It feels good to kind of like commit as well and
Sweet.
just be like, you know what? These are the songs that were like, even if I don't relate to them anymore by the time it comes out, like we were saying before, it's maybe not even for me. Like
Yeah.
I spent the time and now they're just out and
Yeah.
ready to be in the world. So yeah,
Nice.
it's been fun. It's been fun. What is your process like for working on a project though? I'm curious as somebody who has released full projects.
Yeah. Thank you for asking. No, I feel like I will usually need or want some sort of idea. It's funny. Like what I'm tempted to say is that I need some sort of like visual, emotional identity to it. But that implies that I'm going to then know like what kind of visuals I'm going to want for the release, which isn't true. It's more of like I guess, an emotional landscape, I suppose. And usually there's also a pretty cohesive lyrical content piece of it, at least in my mind, versus like what the listener might hear. So I think for me it's that like I'll be working on songs and then kind of be going through my notebook or going through my voice memos and be like, oh, those 3 are my favorite and they all make sense together. So like, is this a thing? And so there's been like groups of songs in the past that I've thought would be a project that I don't end up recording and releasing. And the one that I'm working on now, like they all feel kind of unified in that way too. Like, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense.
You feel like when it's right, maybe.
Yeah, and
I
I feel like they're connected before I record them usually. And so then it'll be like, oh, I need to put those together. And usually there's also like a sonic obsession of mine. Like with a project I put out in 2021, I was obsessed with the Japanese house. And
so good.
And I had just like a year before gotten really into the 1975. Like I made fun of them and I hated them for like 5-6 years. And then like for some reason in 2020, it just like clicked and made sense to me. And so that project, it was like I was obsessed with those artists. And so sonically, I wanted it to kind of sound like that. And so it was that, and then lyrically, and it just kind of felt cohesive to me first.
Yeah. How long does it take you, like start to finish, like an album or a project?
Long time.
Long time.
The one I'm working on now, like the first song that I wrote for it, I think was like last August. And I'm almost ready to release it maybe. So like, and that feels like, yeah, I don't know. So usually a while.
Yeah.
But I've also been very unfocused over the past few years, like trying to get back into it and like find that again.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah. I was going to say, because like last August in my terms is like not that long ago.
Yeah.
But do you like to just still be in the space you were when you created the song to have it come out almost?
I think like with this project, I think because I took some time away from like production and mixing, and I'm doing that part myself, which I feel mixed about, but like I feel like I'm relearning everything. And so if I was, do you hear a weird staticky thing? Is that me?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Heck? Could be me too.
No, I think that was me. The podcast knows that you're interviewing me now, and it was like, stop that.
The tables have turned.
Yeah.
Now I am hosting the Freewrite. Yeah. But I genuinely want to know, because like I don't have a lot of songwriters in my orbit, so this is also good information for me to know.
Yeah, heck yeah. The noise distracted me. What was the question?
Question was like, do you feel like you need to be in the same space as where you were when you created the song as to when it releases, or like still kind of connected to it in that way?
I guess so, but I don't know if it's because I feel like I need to be, or if it's because that's just what it feels like. Mm-hmm. But I guess I wonder if like the songs that I have not released, if part of it is because I feel like I've moved on from that and I wasn't in that space anymore.
Totally. Yeah.
What about you? Like for the emotional nature of your music, when it comes to, this is a question I like to ask, like, again, selfishly. For me, if I can't find the emotional space of a song that I'm like halfway through, I find it so hard to finish that tune. So for you, with these emotional lyrics and like confessional, and how are you, how is that editing process, or how is that finding it or recording? Yeah.
It's good because I feel like I write the majority of the song like when I'm going through the emotion, and then when I'm a little more clear-headed, I go back and edit it. And then it's kind of like, okay, we get everything down that needs to be like the emotional core of it. But then we can kind of adjust it for like, okay, we don't have to have this part in. We can take this part out. This is too long. Like coming back to it in a different headspace, I think is really helpful for me. It's kind of like ear fatigue, you know, when you're mixing. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like there's song fatigue for like songwriting, where it's just, you think that what you're saying is like, oh, this needs to be in it. It's necessary, and it's not always necessary.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What is a normal time frame for you from like initial idea to not like finished song, but like full, maybe mixable version, or like almost at the end of the recording process? How long will that typically be?
It depends because now I feel like everything is different. Typically, I would say maybe a few months,
Yeah.
especially if it's like a song I'm really excited about and I'm like, okay, send this off. Takes me a while to get vocals, and then I will usually, like I said, take some time away, come back to it.
Yeah.
But the current batch of songs I'm working on, like I said, have spanned like 2 years ago till now.
Sure.
And they're all recorded, but they're not all like mixed yet or finished yet. So
Yeah.
it definitely varies. And I think sometimes if I don't have like a strict deadline for myself, if I'm like, hey, I'm just writing songs, like this
Yeah.
can be just out, it'll be like right away or like as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But then for an EP, like I do have the vision of it in my mind where I'm like, this needs to be this far along and this far along. And maybe we'll pull a song that I wrote way back that fits it that I
Yeah.
couldn't find a place for before. So it's an interesting question. I feel like everyone is so different. I know people that really just want to, write it, release it, have it be out there.
Yeah.
But for me, it's always a process. And as a perfectionist, like I have lost many songs that were supposed to be out that I just got to the end and I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, guys, like I can't, like I don't know about this one anymore.
Yeah. I it's also I'm kind of blown away when I hear artists say that like they'll write it and record the vocals on day one and like stick to that for the whole thing. I'm like the few times I've done that, I end up hating it by the time I'm like nearing the end of the recording process. I'm like, that melody is bad and the lyrics are typical and like what? Like I committed to all of this way too soon.
Yeah, it's true. It's got to
Yeah.
breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel
I like
like
that.
there's a good, space between writing the song, recording the song is a different space than writing song, at least for me. And then producing or mixing it is separate.
Are you recording your own vocals in that room on that mic? What is
Yeah.
that process? Because same here. Well, not this room
Yeah.
because this room sucks. But how is that process for you?
Oh boy. I mean, I don't know if 30 vocal takes is something that you speak to, spiritually relate to, but it
Oh
is,
yeah.
the perfectionism jumps out and it's like, this isn't good enough. So I'm trying to minimize the number of takes I'm doing now. Before it was literally like, oh, as long as this takes, I'm going to get the best vocal performance. But in doing that, I have learned you sacrifice the emotional core of it for a technically good take.
And so what part of you is like listening to it? How do you separate producer brain from vocalist brain? Or do you?
I definitely do, and I'm trying to do less of that because it's hard. It's hard because you want your stuff to sound technically good, but you also want it to emotionally resonate.
Yeah.
And, I think so used to hearing like commercial pop, at least for me, it's like, oh, like this vocal sounds so clean and like, they recorded in a studio and everything. And I think part of the charm and the relatability of a lot of indie musicians is like we are just like regular people like recording our music.
Yeah.
And the truth of it is in the songwriting. It's not in like the polish or like this, note is slightly off key or whatever, what have you.
Right.
And it's actually interesting because there's a song that is coming out early next year of mine that I ended up literally just using the demo vocal because I kept trying to record it over and over. And I was like, this is not like striking the right chord as it did when I just like put record on and I just recorded without thinking.
Yep.
So like we were saying before, like overthinking sometimes is just overkill and you don't have to, needlessly, endlessly edit when maybe first few takes you got the emotion in there. You don't have to go back and try and recreate it when it's already there.
Sure.
Yeah.
How do you know when it's done? When you're at the end of that recording process and it's ready to be mixed or mastered or just finalized?
Yeah, I think there is a point where it just sounds, you can listen to it through and you'd be like, okay, I'm not really missing anything. Like for me, I love lists. I love a checklist or like listening through and being like, okay, this could have this at like this chorus.
Yeah.
And when I'm kind of out of things that would really elevate the song without it being, crowded,
Hmm.
that's usually when I'm like, okay, I think we're at that point.
Cool.
But it does change. I mean, how is it for you, I would say?
Now that we're talking about this is something that I feel like I've gotten great answers from and something that's really helped me. Like Juliet Daniel, shout out, said when she plays it for somebody and she is like talks over a part of it or like starts talking during a part, that'll be a cue to her that like I'm insecure about that part. I need to fix something there. Like there's a reason I started talking over that part versus some other part. I think that's a great note. I think I heard a good piece of advice. I should figure out who said this so I can quote them. But they were like, when I can't take anything else away from the song and have it still sound like the song, I'll know it's done.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great note for like taking things away. I tend to be quite like maximalist with adding parts. I think that's like the 1975 influence of there being so many things happening all of the time that I just love that crowded noise show. That then I'll get to the mixing phase and I'll be like, this sounds terrible. There's too much going on.
For real.
But I don't know. Yeah, I think for me, that might be part of why I'm on, mix version 45 with one of the new songs that I'm trying to release is that like, I don't really know how to know it's done because that checklist that you mentioned, that'll be my new thing is when I'm doing like a car test and driving, I'll voice text myself. And so I'll be like, shouting over the air conditioning, kick drum in chorus 2 is too loud.
Yes.
And then so I'll have an endless checklist like that every time I listen, there's another thing I need to fix. So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that.
I don't know either.
We'll know when my next song comes out. That's when we'll know.
Which is when?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, soon, hopefully.
Okay.
I started working on visuals for it for like the first time. I have never had anyone come like do a photo video shoot with me, but I have a couple friends that do video professionally. And so they're kind enough to just like help me for free. Well, I buy them in and out and they help me with video, which is an incredible deal for me.
Perfect. Symbiotic relationship right there.
Yeah. So I did that for it recently. So it will be happening soon. But that is now a pivot to ask you a question that I have found to be very polarizing of like, tell me about visuals. What is making visuals for your music like in 2026 with short form video and Spotify wanting to be a music video platform now and just everything else going on. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting because I feel like now you cannot really have music without visuals of some kind. Like literally can be anything, but it kind of requires it. But I find it fun. I really lean into like the DIY aspect of it.
Yeah.
On a budget, indie musician, obviously. So usually I will have like a vision of what I want the song to look like. I'll come up with like a video concept or like a setting for the video to be at least that kind of fits the song.
Yeah.
Like for a song I wrote or released last year called Fear of Heights, it was literally just my friend took my camera and we ran around the park and we just got some good video that way. And usually like that can be enough, I think, too. Like, again, it just comes back to like the honesty. Like as long as the emotional truth is there, like, and you have something to show for it, I don't think that visuals have to be complicated. I don't think they have to be like highly produced or very professional. And at least for the kind of music I'm making, I'm definitely not trying to be something that I'm not either. Because there's a music video I have that's literally like just made all on photo booth. Like it's just stuff like that appeals to people as well. And so I find it fun. I think it's fun to kind of like work within the limitations of your budget as an artist and kind of find something that you enjoy and that works for you. But Yeah, it's crazy now with like all of the social medias, the TikTok of
Yeah.
it all. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and comparison is very easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at the end of the day, like no one can really do what you're doing and in the
Mm.
way that you're doing it. And
Yeah.
you don't need to have like a certain visual that someone else has or,
Yeah.
it's the uniqueness is like the truth of it and what people will kind of like relate to and latch onto at the end of the day. So.
Yeah. I like that. Do you have any tips and tricks for the musician trying to market their stuff on the TikTok?
Oh, yeah, just I mean, I can't really give advice because TikTok is like the Wild West. It's so like fickle, and what you think will work doesn't work, and what you
Yeah.
don't think about does work. And I'm still kind of trying to figure it out, to be
Cool.
honest. I'm very lazy with TikTok. I just post photos, and like that has been working. But
Yeah.
to be honest, there's no rules. I don't know. I'm really I don't know. I think the baseline for any kind of social media is like, don't do something that's not authentic, that
Sure.
doesn't feel like you.
Yeah.
Because if just doing something because it's a trend or you see someone else doing it, I think that people can see through that super easily.
Is there an overlap there at all with imposter syndrome? Is there an overlap with like, I don't want to do something that isn't authentic to me, but like, who am I to make a music video? Is that like,
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I haven't really given this much thought, but now that you say that, yeah. I mean, I
I
think
haven't given it
there's.
much thought either, but it did like, it came up and I was like, because I was thinking about my friends and I who also went to a park to like shoot outside, and I was like, I can't lip sync my own song in public
Oh,
right
I
now. Like,
know.
I'm not that person. But it's like, who said, why not? Who says
Why
like,
not?
yeah,
Why
just
not?
do the thing.
Who cares? No one's ever judging you as harshly as you're judging yourself as well.
Sure. Great note.
And I think most people do want you to succeed, and especially like with performances as
But
well
what
as
about the
music.
haters, Camille? What about all the haters?
You know what? Most of the haters are the ones that you create in your mind. I'm saying, like,
Sure.
it's truly like I think most people that are mad that someone else is being authentic and sharing their art are people who want to be authentic and share their art as well. So
Yeah.
it's really just
Agree.
like, people that aren't doing it want to be doing it, and people that are supporting you are, you know, supportive of art and music and people doing what they do.
Heck yeah.
So yeah, and that's like something that I've definitely been trying to learn as well. Is like, I don't know. Everyone is out here like on TikTok like doing something, and people aren't paying that much attention anyways. So it's like,
Yeah.
why not? Why not?
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's time for the slow round. So
Okay. Excited.
take as long as you want with these or go as
Okay.
quick as you want. It's up to you.
Okay.
What are your beliefs around inspiration?
Okay. Inspiration. I mean, like inspiration can come from really, truly anything. Interesting question. Very open-ended question.
Yeah.
I just know you
Maybe
wrote this
two.
and you were like, yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good one.
That's number one. Yeah.
Yeah, like inspiration can come from a lot of things. I think that we're all inspired by other artists. But, even being inspired by other artists, like there's still something unique about every person that's creating art. So, like whatever sparks inspiration you can use. I've definitely tried to copy some artists and it hasn't always worked well, but it inspired me to do other things as a result. You
Yeah.
can be inspired by yourself. Like I'm definitely inspired, like looking back at my early SoundCloud music and being like, I can't believe I put this out. And now I'm inspired to make something better because I have the tools to make
Yeah.
something better.
Old SoundCloud music, is that privated or is that
It's all public. It's all public. SoundCloud was the first thing I started uploading on.
Okay.
And I was like, this is just going to be,
Yeah.
it's going to be like a sandbox to just put whatever and
Yeah.
still have the dopamine from like pressing upload.
Sure.
But nobody really has to like
Yeah.
be witness to it. It's just for me to kind of
Cool.
look back on and being like, oh yeah, come a long way since that first upload.
Well, I'm definitely going to check it out. And I'm sorry, but my old SoundCloud songs are all privated, so you cannot
Are
see
they?
those. Yeah. Well, there's one EP. There's 4 songs that are not privated. And I feel
Okay.
decent enough about them to not hide them from the world, but there are 3 projects on there that no one will ever hear
Why
again.
is that?
Have you ever listened to Ed Sheeran's music that he made when he was 16?
I
Like
can't say
old
that I have.
demos?
I don't think
It
so.
it was really powerful for me when I was like 19 and I heard these demos or like songs of his from when he was like 16
Mm.
because they're so bad. They're really like his voice sounds so young and like the writing is he was 16 like
Right.
it was great for what it was at the time, but
Hmm.
then like I was such a fan of Ed Sheeran's first album that like comparing
Yeah.
them was night and day, and it was like, oh, if he sounded like this when he was 16, then there's hope for me. And so that said, they're all awful.
Yeah.
You can't hear them because I yeah
Yeah.
don't
I mean,
yeah
it gives you something to kind of refer back to.
sure.
But
Every 4 years I'll go and I'll listen to them and I'll be kind of
hmm
like, nostalgic and blown
hmm
away, and I'll be like, these were great, and then I'll wait another 4 years to go listen again.
the 4-year tradition of
Yeah,
going back and listening to
I
our
should put
old
it on the
voice
calendar.
memos. For real. You got to mark that occasion because
Hmm.
it's kind of scary sometimes. I
Yeah,
I definitely relate to that. But then at the end of the day, it's like, oh, sometimes I feel like there is a through line of like old stuff carried
sure.
into new stuff. I'm like, oh man, like that was good. If I'd only had
Yeah,
like a non-shitty microphone and like something, I could have made that a song. But
yeah,
I do believe in letting things just be what they are and not try to like, repurpose things or being like, oh, that was a good song. Let me make it now. Like there was a song I was trying to do that to that I wrote in like 2020,
hmm
2021. And I was like, I really love that song, but it never sounded like official or produced or anything. So I tried to remake it. And again, it's like the magic is kind of gone.
it wasn't there.
It
Yeah,
wasn't there. And so it's just like, it'll just be a shitty demo forever. And that's okay. And that's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
And someday one person will have the Ed Sheeran experience and go and be like, wow, like I can't believe these are out, but
Yeah,
it's so crazy to compare.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you find yourself writing about most?
Uh, it varies. I try not to write about one thing too much. I think that I am inclined to sad songs because they're just so much fun to write. I've had people be like, "Hey, are you okay? Like, I listen to your music. Like, are you good?" I'm like, "No, yeah, like I'm fine, but sad songs are just
Yeah.
so much fun to write." And
Hmm.
my favorite songs are sad songs. And yeah, they're just I find myself naturally writing about like unrequited love a lot or like heartbreak or yearning is like a big thing for me. I think it's so interesting
Yeah.
and so fun to write about. But like also just a lot of, relationships. I write about I mean like diary entries, like mental health, like things, just kind of putting them into songs, what have you. But I do gravitate towards like melancholy and kind of like dreamy and like we were saying, like nostalgic
Yeah.
type of music. I find happy love songs to be incredibly hard to write. And I don't know why that is. I think it's just like,
There's something
I don't
about the
know.
art form of songwriting that lends itself more to heartbreak than it does
Hmm.
ooey gooey
Yeah.
emotions. Yeah.
There's so many amazing heartbreak albums out there.
Hmm.
And then, like, there's good love albums out there too. But I think also maybe just like the fact that a lot of people turn to music in like when they need an emotional release
Sure.
and sad songs do that without us having to actually be like crying or like
Yeah.
experiencing this emotion, but we can kind of like project
Channel
through
it,
the
project
song.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's another thing that I really like about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a piece of creative advice that you've really resonated with?
I have received a lot of creative advice in my life, and I feel like it sounds super cliche and like boring to say
Mhm.
this, but just keep doing it like write all the time.
Yeah.
Have you ever read Big Magic
Mm-mm.
by Elizabeth Gilbert?
Mm-mm.
It's so good and basically just talks about like how I don't know, creating is such a beautiful thing and like we all are natural creators and she talks about kind of being entitled to the work of creativity but you're not
Mm.
entitled to like the fruits of that work. So
Yeah.
if there's anything like we're called to as creatives, it's just to create. Like any result from that is kind of none of our business, you know. If people like it, great. If people don't like it, okay.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't dictate the fact that you're still going to create as a creative person. Like no one could ever listen to a song I write for the rest of my life, and I would just okay, I would have to keep doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think in the age of like short form content and algorithms and numbers and external validation, it's so easy to just be like, okay, I'm gonna do like what people want or like what people will like and listen to, and that will dictate how I feel about my own art.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think that's just something I always come back to is like we're entitled to the creative work. You're not entitled to anything else surrounding it. Yeah, I would
I like
say.
that.
Yeah.
That's good.
What is yours? Because I would love some more advice as well.
Man, I don't know. I have a little embossing label maker and I'll put little like labels on the outside of my computer monitors. And so I'm looking at these and I I don't know. I guess there's so many.
Mhm.
But like one that stands out is that if you have 15 minutes a day, you can still be successful. Like you can still make it work. My
Mm.
mom wrote a book on writing, quite meta of her. And one of the main premises is that if you have 15 minutes a day, you can do it. That's enough.
Wow.
And I think that what I've been noticing for me is like if I can just break like the inertia, like if I can just sit down and like start, I'll go for more than 15 minutes if I have that time. And so I think that's one that I always come back to.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you got to, what do they say, like 10,000 hours or something you got to put in
They
for the
say
course of your
that.
life to be an expert. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, when it boils down to it, we all have the same amount of time in the day and you can spare 15 minutes. 15 minutes, like, well spent is better than,
Yeah.
you know, hours
Yeah.
on, you know, distractions and things like that. So
Yeah.
it's really not a lot of time, but it's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Jot that down.
Write that down. Do you have any advice for a new songwriter?
There's rules that don't exist that I feel like it's easy to think, oh, this is how you write a song
Mm.
when they don't really exist. And all you can do is just write down how you feel and it'll come. Just like keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. Everyone who's a songwriter has songs they first started writing that are will never see the light of day, you know?
Right.
Like yeah, inspire yourself, like listen to music that you really admire, listen to all types of music and kind of borrow maybe elements of it as you find out what your style is. Definitely just I know for me, like sometimes something is so daunting that I won't even want to start. I'm like, oh, if I
Mm.
can't write a great song, I don't want to write a song. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it's
Yeah.
like you have to write like hundreds of bad songs in order to write a good song.
Do
And
you ever
so
feel like the idea is so good, you have to nail the song, like to do
100%.
justice to the idea,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I'll just end up not writing anything because I'm like too overwhelmed with having that one to be perfect.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's it's better to just write anything and
Yeah.
have something to show for it rather than just sit on a great idea because you know that's unfair to the rest of us. We want to hear all the ideas
Yeah.
that you have. So, yeah, I think just write and write and
Cool.
like I said, it'll come to you.
What is a creative goal of yours?
Creative goal. I would really love to write for other people someday. I think that I'm not a good co-writer because my process is pretty solo. But I would love to like write a song and have a singer be like, "Hey, I want to record and release this."
Yeah.
That would be like super validating for me as a writer and not just, I'm singing my own songs.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
One day.
Speaking of that, is there a song by someone else that you wish that you would have written?
Yes. Are you familiar with the artist Annika Bennett? She's like a folk.
So.
She's kind of a indie folk singer, I would say. She's written for a lot of artists. She's written for Role Model, Chapel Roan, a lot of big names. But I have followed her solo project since, I don't know, like 2021 maybe. I think she's so talented. There's a song she has called Strong Enough that is, I heard it and I was like, oh my God, I'm like jealous of this song because it's almost so simple, but she does crazy things with melody and cadence and just the simplicity of the song message. It's like, oh my God, that flows so well. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Okay.
She's a good one to check out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also Madison Cunningham, but I feel like she's just like a goddess. Like, I don't know. I don't think I could ever, but everything she writes is beautiful. There's a song she has called My Full Name. Yeah. That you know it. Mm-hmm. It's so devastating. Yeah. And I'm obsessed.
I haven't listened to that in a while, but I'm gonna
cue it up.
Yeah, that's queued up for after this.
Get ready to cry.
Yeah, you got it. Do you have any music artists that you've been especially into recently, other than maybe those two?
CMAT. I'm on the CMAT train all the way. I went and saw CMAT live. I think she's so talented. She's super Irish, super cool.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, her song "When a Good Man Cries" is kind of popping off right now, but like her whole album, Euro Country, is really good. There's a song she has called, what's it called? It's called Janis Joplining that I think is so clever and fun. And yeah, she's awesome. Definitely CMAT.
Awesome. Last thing is if there's anything to promote and or where can people find you?
Yeah, my name is Camille Cano, and I'm on all the streaming. My next single, Doomsday Prepping, will be out on September 1st. And I'm playing several shows in Seattle area in August. I'm playing Capitol Block Party on the 7th, coming up in a week. And then, a few others on August. But pretty much on all the social medias is Camille Cano Music. So, yeah.
Sweet. Well, Camille, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. And
that's great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for listening to my conversation with Camille Cano. You can find her music wherever you stream music, and you can follow her on Instagram and TikTok, Camille Cano Music. If you enjoyed the episode, it would mean a lot to me if you shared it with a friend and left a positive review. Those both really help the show. You can watch full video of all episodes on YouTube on a new channel called The Freewrite. I'm posting all the episodes to YouTube on their own channel now. And if you have the means and would like to support the show, please check out my Patreon page. I post bonus content from the podcast every week now, and there's good stuff there where I'm starting to ask some Patreon-only questions. So there's some tidbits from Camille today that you're only going to get if you go to Patreon. So please go check it out. Thank you again so much for listening this far. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I hope that you make some time for yourself to create something today.